I'm guessing that was the go ahead to get this rolling. Is that correct?
We're ready now, Dr. Forth.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all the efforts on the back end there to set this up. So I will then call this special meeting to order at 11:04. And Alicia, would we do a roll call as usual, and then I'll get us started?
Yes. Member Burton? Here. Member Catanese? Member Clark?
Here.
Member Clay?
Here.
Member Hagerman?
Here.
Member Haley? Superintendent Hoffman?
Here.
Member Kravickas? Member Meyerson? Dr. Robbins?
Present.
President Core?
Here.
You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you, Alicia. So I want to, first of all, I just want to thank everyone for, I'm certain, rearranging times and schedules and priorities to spend some time here today. As we get started, just a couple of kind of introductory comments. And first of all, asking, especially if you at all can, to keep your camera on. Just so we can maintain quorum. We're pretty close, right? We've got 7, we need 6 to keep quorum, and it's important that we monitor that. So, and I know that Dr. Robbins is only with us for about the next 55 minutes or so. I also want to, again, given that we're mostly from a distance, make sure we're trying to project, maybe even talk a little louder than you would be comfortable talking. Just to make sure that we're all keeping, able to hear. At our last meeting, the regularly scheduled meeting, we had 2 different executive sessions to receive legal advice. I know we're all veterans of executive sessions, but I do want to kind of caution and remind us as not to refer specifically to anything that went on in an executive session. And again, that was for the receipt of legal advice. But it's important that we keep the confidentiality inherent into each session, make sure that we do that. As we get started, I also want to acknowledge the amazing work that helped prepare us for this meeting. We all received voluminous numbers of comments on this issue, and they had to be poured through and redacted, and just a lot of effort in a very short period of time. So I'm, to be quite honest, I'm not sure who did that, but it was an amazing feat, and they have my appreciation for that task. Again, on a very short turnover. So our task today is to grapple again with this issue of the ESA handbook. I would like, as we begin this meeting, to have an opportunity for anyone who would like to, have their say, if you will. I'm going to invoke, if you will, presidential prerogative and get us started. I think this is a really important moment for us as a board. I want to recognize and appreciate the efforts of the department to again provide us with a revised handbook on very short notice. I don't know that there's anyone on this screen who is perfectly happy with that handbook. I do not count myself as one who thinks it is the perfect final document, but I do recognize it is an important step forward. It is an improvement. It is moving us absolutely in the right direction, and it is a product, quite frankly, of compromise. And maybe that no one on the screen would look at it as a perfect document speaks to the fact that it is a result of compromise. I have come very much to the opinion that we will need to When we're done all having a say, I will have a motion to that effect. I really do feel we need an AG opinion on some of these issues. I'll specify them later. You know, we're looking at things. Some on the screen are looking at the same thing and interpreting it differently. Out of no malice on anyone's part, just we're looking at the same thing and seeing it as being different. So I think it really is important for us and our work moving forward to ask the AG for an opinion, which would be public. It would not be done in executive session or anything along those lines, to weigh in on some of the issues that again I think are keeping us at a bit of a stalemate. That is my thought. I will seek approval of the handbook, the revised handbook that has been presented to us. I will also pair that with the thought that we need once and for all an official opinion, if you will, or an AG opinion as to where we stand so that we can effectively move forward. That again, I want everyone to have their say. I've had my say. Vice President Burton, would you like to share any thoughts at this point?
Thank you, President Corr, Superintendent Hoffman. You took a lot of the words out of my mouth, but I do think this handbook does incorporate some of the parent input that was received over the last several months, and I do think does show demonstrative improvement. But the board does need clarification from the AG because the path forward is murky, and we're going to come up against a lot of the same issues that we have that sort of has delayed this. There's areas of interpretation that I don't agree with, but I would like a formal AG opinion on it for the reasons you stated. We want it to be public. We want everybody to understand, regardless of the outcome of that, whatever that opinion is, we want everybody to understand where they're coming from and what kind of binds us a bit. So those are my comments. And I would support moving ahead with the revised handbook that has incorporated some of these parent comments, because I'm not sure if we don't adopt it, then we revert to the old handbook, and we've spent a year listening to frustrations and criticisms about the old handbook. So I do think the parent input, and I think it was documented in Ms. O'Brien's letter and the parent surveys, all of that over the last several months, really over the last year, I think we've started taking inputs, and I feel like it's been longer than that, but I don't see a benefit of not incorporating that work while still asking for an Attorney General opinion.
Thank you, Vice President Burton. Superintendent Hoffman, do you have any comments or thoughts you'd like to share?
Thank you, President Corr, Vice President Burton, members. I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank my staff, the ESA leadership, Terry O'Brien, Sarah Raybon, and along with legal counsel worked tirelessly on Monday to turn this around quickly. And I just want to thank them for their efforts and for really and taking the opportunity also on Tuesday evening to hold another ESA town hall that went for about 2 hours. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank them.
Thank you, Superintendent Hoffman. Member Clark, would you like to share any thoughts?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Dr. Corr. I think all of you guys all the members received my executive summary outlining the work of all of the parents through their fantastic comments, feedback over the last several months, even when ADE only had 2 listening sessions. They continued to dig through the handbook on their own, provide written comment, provide comment in person. And I'm not sure, can they see all the parents that are in here today? No?
No.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, it's unfortunate. There's quite a large group of families that are here in person today. Lots of ESA children as well, families that have worked tirelessly, who are not attorneys, who don't have in-house counsel, who are not experts and specialists in these types of things. It's very complicated. And so I'm grateful that they're all here. I'm grateful for their work and their comments. In my summary, I outlined that not only as an ESA parent, but as someone who is intimately involved in the program over the last 4 years, that I believe we should be keeping the current ESA handbook and adopting that for another year because of all the difficult changes and because based on actual parents in the program, while a lot of work has been done, things have been made more complicated in the latest draft. In my comments, I added just additional information of areas of concern, some minor, but still concerning, some a little bit bigger. So that is my opinion. I do believe, as I mentioned in my summary, that we do need an opinion from the AG's office, but it's not specifically related to this handbook. It's related to other issues, which is regarding ADEs, disregarding of the rules, and whether the board is allowed to make changes based on what the rule says prior to the adoption of the handbook. So that's where I'm at. I think everyone knows that because you've seen my summary. I thank you members too for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this process and have this conversation and educate members too about the ESA program and why it's so amazing, but why the current handbook, because of the challenges that we have to tackle, should be approved for another year.
Thank you, Member Clark. And again, if I'd like to hear from everyone, assuming you'd like to share comments. Dr. Hagerman, any thoughts or anything you'd like to share?
I appreciate both your initial comments about getting the AG's ruling, because I do feel that we need some clarity, and there's a lot of questions as I go through it that I think that would be very helpful. I'm also concerned about not incorporating all the work that's happened over the last year. So I hear both you and Member Burton kind of concerns. So this to kind of reflect that and support that.
Thank you, Dr. Hagerman. And just for clarity, I'm calling you all on the time that you logged on. So in the order that you logged on. So Dr. Robbins, did you have any thoughts or comments you'd like to share?
Yeah, President Kaur, thank you, and members and all of you who are there. I think obviously this is an issue that we all take very seriously. I think Superintendent Hoffman, from what I've seen, has produced a new handbook that, while I agree with we need the AG's interpretation and ruling on this, I would be supportive of the changes that Superintendent Hoffman has made.
Thank you, Dr. Robbins. Member Clay, any thoughts or comments you'd like to make?
Good morning, President Kaur, members of the board. My comment is this: it is a document of compromise. It does show collaboration. It does show that we are listening and trying to come to that sweet spot where everyone is satisfied and happy. That's going to take a while because it's such a big document. It's such a and it's affecting so many people, and everybody sees it in a different way. So first, I'm going to say hats off to both sides who are listening and trying to adjust to each other. Because what if we didn't do that? Right. So I feel that this document is an evolution. It's not a complete evolution, right? But it's a move forward. So yes, as many eyes as possible. Yes, I definitely believe AG's opinion. But what I am very pleased with is the sharing of information, the respect, the, okay, I didn't see it this way, but I'll just adjust, back and forth. That to me is powerful. Those basically are my comments.
Thank you, Member Clay. Member Cantonese, thrilled you can join us. I think you're in a planning period or something there at school, so I'm thrilled you were able to join on. You've probably picked up on this, but I'm just kind of getting to each member to solicit their thoughts, comments, opinions before we entertain any type of motion. So is there any thoughts or comments you'd like to share?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm coming live from my classroom, so it's great to be here with everyone. I want to echo some of the thoughts that were shared. I appreciate, Member Clay, what you just shared. I really agree with that. I also want to echo what Superintendent Hoffman said. I think that her staff did a phenomenal job turning around and looking at a lot of these things in a very short time window. And then also having another meeting for parents to attend for 2 hours is exactly what we need, because we need spaces for parents to have their voices heard. And I think that having parents show up and in those venues are extremely, extremely valuable, because those are the venues in which the changes can be made. And so I'm very supportive of this document right now and how it's presented. And I think that over time, it's going to get better and better with more input. And I think that I'm just very, very grateful for everyone who has given their input, because, we're never going to get the perfect document, but the more input we have, the better that we can serve everyone.
Thank you, Member Catanese. I appreciate that. I really would like to echo a theme I've heard from many of you. Today is not the end of this process by any means. Today is an important step forward, but it is really, we are in early days of supporting this program, and the parents, whether they're in the room or watching or just trying to do right by their kids. So today really is just a beginning, not an end by any means. And I heard that kind of theme woven between most of the comments here today. Would anyone else like to say anything else before I present for consideration a motion?
Dr. Core, I have a few more comments.
Yeah, please. Is that Member Clark?
Yes, this is Member
Please.
Clark. I just had a few points of clarification before we move forward. I did just want to mention that the session that happened with the department on Tuesday, that was not a session that was designed for parent feedback on the handbook. That was a regularly scheduled Empowerment Scholarship 101 session. So it was not the department doing what we had previously asked, which was holding additional sessions to gain parent feedback on the handbook. So I'm definitely all about collaboration. You guys know that. I love working with the parents. I love looking at these comments. I love seeing the things that they find and figure out, same with the department as well. But I think that's an important note. And I do believe that while a lot of work has gone into this process, a lot of that work, according to parents and parent comment, is not benefiting them, and it's not been done on their behalf. So that's just something I would be remiss to not bring up as we move forward towards a vote. I know we can say it's a work of collaboration, because in the last week or two, there's been a little bit of back and forth, especially since I've been on the board and am a little bit more aware of the program, having been an ESA parent. But I'm not even aware how often, and maybe Deputy Director Baden, you could fill me in on this, how many times the department and the state board met throughout the process of developing the handbook. Do we have an answer on that?
Member Clark, I would say that, are you speaking of the State Board of Education as the Board of Education?
Yes. Like meetings between the department and board staff to discuss the handbook and what was going into it, what was being changed. Did that process ever happen, or should that happen, or not usually?
So, President or Superintendent Hoffman, Member Clark, members, I would say with the process of the handbook, typically what occurs is that department staff tells board staff when the handbook is coming. There may be emails or conversations that go back and forth between board staff and department staff of, hey, this is the deadline. You may want to consider X, Y, Z, right? And so those kinds of conversations that occur within this handbook development. The former chief of staff of the department and I spoke about the handbook because it was by rule, it needs to be by March 1st, right? So at the time, the chief of staff called me and asked if she could submit it to the staff. I'm quoting my fingers to board staff a few days later because they needed additional time, which as staffers, we are always amenable to that, right? At which point there was some parent feedback sessions held by the department. Then we drafted the agenda for March. We received the draft agenda for March. The board spoke at the March meeting about the handbook. That's when we got all the new members. We had a lot of public comment. Fast forward to April meetings, so there were some conversations there back and forth between the two staffs of when do you need an updated revised handbook to post, that kind of stuff.
Okay, so conversations back about kind of the when stuff's coming out and deadlines and submitting stuff, but maybe the reason I'm bringing this up is that I would really love to see next year a process where the board and parents work closely together saying, these are the things that we're planning to change, because there are substantive changes in here that I don't believe should be changed. And that process only happened when we were handed a handbook. There wasn't discussion beforehand that I'm aware of why certain things were being changed, or, you know, when a parent and the department disagreed, digging into that disagreement, it was, we were being handed something, parents were being handed something to look at, give their comments in really quickly on, and then that was the end of the process. So I think there is still a lot more opportunity for collaboration.
Thank you, Member Clark. For consideration of the board, I share this potential motion. That we approve the handbook with revisions submitted by ADE for this meeting, this special meeting of April 29th, and direct the Attorney General to bring a formal opinion on the board, to the board on A, can the State Board of Ed make changes to the handbook developed and proposed by ADE? And B, can ADE disregard SBE rules it interprets as being in conflict with statute? Do I have such a motion?
So moved.
Member Burton, do I have a second?
Second.
I didn't catch the second. Was that you, Member Clay? Okay, Member Clay by a nose over Dr. Hagerman. So I have a motion. I have a second. Any discussion or conversation? Executive Director Williams, I think this probably calls for a roll call vote, if you would.
Yes, President Court, just give me one moment. Okay, for that motion, we have Member Burton made that motion. Motion was seconded by Member Clay. Member Catanese, how do you vote?
You said my name.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
We're conducting a roll call vote. Do you support the motion on the table or reject the motion on the table?
Sorry, the motion cut out.
Okay.
If you can repeat that.
I can. So the motion that has been forwarded by Member Burton and second by Member Clay is to approve the handbook with the revisions as submitted by ADE for today's April 29th special meeting and direct the Attorney General to bring a formal opinion to the board on two things. Can the State Board of Ed make changes to the handbook developed and proposed by ADE? And two, can ADE disregard SBE rules it interprets as being in conflict with statute?
Aye.
Thank you.
Member Clark, how do you vote?
No.
Member Hagerman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Superintendent Hoffman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dr. Robbins, how do you vote?
Aye.
Member Clay, how do you vote?
Aye.
Member Burton, how do you vote?
Aye.
President Corr, how do you vote?
Aye.
President Corr, members of the board, by the vote count of 7-1, the motion passes.
Thank you all. Again, I will commit myself to continue to working diligently to serve this program and the parents so invested in it, and working with the spirit of collaboration and cooperation, really with an eye towards what's best for the state and all around, and especially the parents and kids in this program. I'm proud of the work being done. I'm proud of this board today. And with that, I will adjourn this meeting at 2:30 and wish you all a
Dr. Corr, we need to do Arizona time. It's 11:30.
Oh yeah, I'm in New York. I'm sorry. Okay. I will not keep you here 3 hours till you catch up to me in New York time. I will adjourn this meeting at 11:30 and wish you all a wonderful weekend, and appreciate your efforts once again. Be